I still remember the exact moment my sister looked me in the eyes and said, "You're not fit to control anything, Claire." It was my 18th birthday, the day I was supposed to inherit everything my mother left behind. But instead of cake, I got a legal war. And my own sister standing in court trying to prove I was insane. What she didn't know, my father had already discovered what she was planning, and he was waiting for the perfect moment to destroy her. Welcome back to the channel, where every story hides a secret, and every secret changes everything. Today's story isn't just about family betrayal. It's about trust, lies, and the day everything I thought I knew about my sister collapsed in front of me. Before we start, tell me in the comments, do you think family can betray you for money? Yes or no? Because by the end of this story, you might change your answer forever. And trust me, what happens next will make you question who was really protecting me and who was trying to destroy me all along. The first thing I noticed that morning wasn't the birthday balloons. It was the silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that feels like something is already broken, even before you open your eyes. I stepped out of my room and saw our mansion in Chicago looking unusually perfect. Too perfect, like someone had tried very hard to make everything look normal. "Happy birthday, Claire," my sister said from the staircase. Olivia Bennett, my older sister, dressed in expensive black, calm smile on her face, the kind of smile that never reached her eyes. 18 today, she added softly. Finally. Something in her tone made my stomach tighten, because in our family, turning 18 didn't just mean growing up. It meant inheriting my mother's entire trust fund, millions of dollars, assets, control, everything my mother built before she died. And Olivia had always hated that fact. I forced a smile. "Yeah, finally." She walked closer, lowering her voice. "Just remember, Claire, not everyone is ready for responsibility." Before I could respond, my father's voice echoed from the dining hall. "Both of you, sit." That wasn't a request. That was a command. The dining table was already set, but no one was eating. Instead, there were documents, stacks of them, and a man I didn't recognize sitting beside my father. A lawyer. But something about him felt wrong. He didn't look at me directly. He looked at Olivia, like she was the one paying him. My father finally spoke. "Claire, today is not about celebration." My heart dropped slightly. Olivia slowly placed a folder in front of me, and then she said the words I would never forget. "I filed a petition to declare you mentally and financially unfit." Silence hit the room like a gunshot. I laughed once, thinking it was a sick joke. But my father didn't move. He didn't react. That's when I realized this wasn't a joke. It was planned. The lawyer finally slid a paper toward me, and on the top of it, I saw the words, "Emergency Trust Suspension Request." My sister leaned in and whispered, "Let's see if you're still smiling after the hearing." And that's when my father slowly stood up, looked at the lawyer, and said 5 words that changed everything. "Then you don't know me." For a moment after my father's words, no one spoke. The air in the dining room felt heavier, like it had turned into something solid, something I couldn't breathe through. The lawyer finally cleared his throat. "Mr. Bennett, this is a formal legal petition. If your daughter is..." "My daughter..." My father cut him off sharply. His eyes didn't even leave Olivia. That was the first time I noticed it. He wasn't looking at me like I was the accused. He was looking at her, like she had already lost. Olivia didn't flinch. She actually smiled. That small, controlled smile again. "Dad," she said softly, "I didn't want it to come to this." But her voice didn't sound emotional. It sounded rehearsed, like she had practiced this line too many times in the mirror. The lawyer pushed the papers toward me again. "I need you to understand," he said. "This petition is supported by psychiatric evaluation claims, financial risk assessment, and statements from within the family." My eyes snapped to Olivia. "Statements from inside the family?" I repeated. That's when she leaned back in her chair and said something that made my stomach drop. "You always thought you were protected, Claire. But people talk." I felt my hands go cold, because I realized something terrifying. This wasn't a sudden attack. This was built over time. Someone had been collecting stories about me, twisting them, turning me into someone I didn't recognize. My father finally moved. Slowly, deliberately. He walked toward the fireplace and picked up his phone. One call. That's all he made. I want him here, he said. The lawyer frowned. Who? My father didn't answer. Instead, he turned to Olivia. And for the first time, I saw something in his expression I had never seen before. Disappointment. Not anger. Not shock. Disappointment. Olivia noticed it too, and for the first time her confidence flickered. What did you do? She asked quietly. My father didn't respond. He just looked at the hallway, waiting. The doorbell rang. Once, then twice. And when the front door opened, a man in a dark suit walked in. He wasn't a lawyer. He wasn't part of the legal team. He was someone I had never seen before, but clearly knew my father well. He looked directly at Olivia and said, Miss Bennett, we need to talk about the documents you submitted last month. Olivia's face changed instantly. For the first time, she didn't look confident. She looked afraid. My father turned slightly toward me and said, Claire, I told you your sister was planning something. But what she doesn't know is. And then he stopped. The man in the suit opened his briefcase. And what he pulled out next made Olivia stand up so fast her chair fell backward. The chair hitting the floor echoed through the house like a warning shot. Olivia stood frozen for a second, like her body forgot how to react. The man in the suit didn't rush. He calmly placed the documents on the table. I'm from the Family Trust Oversight Board, he said. That sentence alone changed the entire room. Because the trust wasn't just money. It was control. Legal control. Medical control. And power my sister clearly thought she could bend. My eyes shifted between him and Olivia. What documents? I asked quietly. No one answered me. Instead, the man opened the folder. Inside were printed emails, financial logs, and handwritten notes. But one thing stood out immediately. My signature. Or at least something trying very hard to look like it. My stomach twisted. That's not mine, I said instantly. The man nodded. We know. Olivia let out a sharp breath. My father finally spoke, his voice low and controlled. Claire, your sister didn't just file a petition. She built a case. A case. Against me. I looked at Olivia again. She wasn't smiling anymore. She was calculating. Like she was already trying to find the next exit. You're exaggerating this, she said finally. It's just a precaution. She's emotional, she just lost. Lost what? The man interrupted. Silence. That hit differently, because I had no idea what she meant. My father turned slightly toward me. That's what she's been hiding from you. My heartbeat slowed. What is he talking about? I asked. Olivia finally snapped. Stop acting innocent, Claire. Her voice cracked through the room. You think you're the only one who suffered after Mom died? You think everything just belongs to you because of some trust document. My throat went dry. This isn't about Mom, I said quietly. But even as I said it, I felt something shift, because I realized this wasn't just greed. It was resentment. Deep. Old. Controlled. The man in the suit placed another document down. This is the forensic review of the psychiatric report submitted under Claire Bennett's name. I stared at it. Psychiatric report? My voice barely came out. My father exhaled slowly. Fabricated. That single word landed heavier than anything else. Olivia stepped back slightly. For the first time, her confidence cracked completely. But then she did something unexpected. She laughed. Soft at first. Then louder. You really think you've won? She said. And then she looked at my father. Not me. Him. I told you not to interfere, she whispered. That's when my father's expression changed. Not fear. Not anger. Something colder. Like he had been waiting for this exact moment. My father reached into his pocket and pulled out a sealed envelope. He placed it on the table between us and said, Open it, Olivia. If you still think you're in control after that, then you never understood your own father. Olivia hesitated for the first time, and I realized whatever was inside that envelope was going to destroy someone in this room. The room felt smaller as Olivia stared at the sealed envelope. She didn't touch it at first. That alone told me everything. My sister was fearless when she was in control, but hesitation didn't belong to her. My father didn't repeat himself. He just stood there, calm like the storm had already passed for him. "Open it," he said again, quieter this time. Olivia slowly sat back down. Her fingers moved toward the envelope, but not smoothly. For the first time I saw something real behind her eyes. Doubt. She broke the seal. Inside was a single document. No thick file. No stack of papers. Just one page. Olivia scanned it once. Then again. And then she stopped moving entirely. "What is this?" she whispered. My father finally walked closer. "That," he said, "is the original trust amendment your mother signed before she died." My breath caught. Original amendment? I had never heard of that. Olivia's grip tightened on the paper. "That's impossible," she snapped. "The trust was already finalized." "It was modified," the man in the suit interrupted. He stepped forward and pointed at a section of the document. Specifically, Clause 7b. My eyes followed his finger. But I didn't understand it. Not until he said it out loud. "If Claire Bennett is ever declared mentally unfit under fraudulent or manipulated evidence." He paused. "And we have proof that such an attempt was made." My stomach dropped. The room went silent. Then Olivia laughed again. But it was different this time. Unstable. "You're lying," she said quickly. "That clause doesn't exist." My father shook his head. "It does. And your mother made sure I was the only one who knew about it." That hit harder than anything before. Olivia's face slowly changed. Not anger now. Panic. Because she realized something she didn't plan for. This wasn't just a trust. It was protected. Against her. Against exactly what she was trying to do. She stood up abruptly. "This is staged," she said, pointing at the man in the suit. "You think I don't know how these games work? You bring in some fake board officer." "Miss Bennett," the man cut in calmly, "I've already verified your filings with the state probate court." Silence. That word court changed everything. Because now it wasn't just family anymore. It was official. My father finally turned toward her fully. And his voice dropped. "Olivia, you didn't just try to take control. You triggered the clause your mother warned you about." Her breathing changed instantly. "Dad, what clause?" I asked quietly. He didn't look at me. He kept his eyes on Olivia. And said, "The one that removes everything from the person who tried to steal it." Olivia's voice cracked for the first time. "You wouldn't." But my father didn't answer. Instead, he picked up his phone again. And said one sentence. "Freeze every account tied to Olivia Bennett." Olivia's phone lit up instantly. Notification after notification. Her assets. Her access. Her control. All disappearing in real time. And as she looked at the screen, she whispered one sentence that made my blood run cold. "This isn't over. Claire still doesn't know the truth about Mom." The moment Olivia said the truth about Mom, the room changed again. Not dramatically but quietly. Like something underground had just cracked. My father didn't react immediately. That scared me more than anything. Because I knew him well enough to understand, silence wasn't confusion. It was calculation. "Don't bring her into this," he said finally. But Olivia smiled again. Except this time it wasn't arrogance. It was desperation mixed with revenge. "Oh, she's already in it," she said, looking directly at me. My chest tightened. "What are you talking about?" I asked. Olivia stepped forward slowly. "You really think that trust was just money from Mom?" she asked. I didn't answer. Because something in my gut already didn't like where this was going. The man in the suit shifted slightly, as if preparing for something bigger. My father's voice turned sharp. "Olivia." A warning. But she ignored it. "She didn't die the way you were told," Olivia said. The words hit like ice water. For a second, I couldn't process them. My mind refused to accept it. "That's enough," my father said instantly. But Olivia kept going. "Claire," she said softly now, almost gently, "Mom didn't just leave you a trust. She left you a target." My hands went cold. "That's not true," I whispered. But even as I said it, I felt my certainty slipping. Because no one was correcting her fast enough. Not even my father. Olivia reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. A folded piece of paper. Worn. Old. She placed it on the table. Read it, she said. My father moved instantly. Don't. But I already grabbed it. My hands were shaking as I unfolded it. It wasn't a legal document. It was a letter. Handwritten. My mother's handwriting. My breath stopped. The first line read, "If anything ever happens to me, it will not be an accident." My vision blurred slightly. No, this couldn't be real. My father stepped closer. Claire, stop reading that. But I couldn't, because I needed to know. The letter continued. The trust is not just protection for Claire. It is protection from Olivia. My heart dropped. My head snapped up instantly. What is this? I whispered. Olivia's voice was quiet now. This is what you were never meant to see. My father finally lost control of his composure. Where did you get that? He demanded. Olivia didn't answer him. She looked at me instead, and said the final line like a blade. Because Mom knew I would be the one to come after you. The room went completely still. No one moved. No one spoke. And for the first time since this began, I wasn't sure who I was supposed to trust anymore. My father suddenly stepped forward and said, "That letter is incomplete." And then he looked at me, with an expression I had never seen before. Fear. You're not ready for what comes next, Claire. And he reached for a locked drawer behind him. My father's hand stayed on the locked drawer for a second too long. That hesitation told me more than his words ever could. You've been hiding things from me, I said quietly. He didn't deny it. That was worse. Olivia watched us both like she was waiting for a collapse, like she wanted to see which side would break first. Open it, I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. My father finally exhaled. Then he turned the key. The drawer clicked open. Inside was a single black folder. No labels. No markings. Just heavy silence. He placed it on the table but didn't push it toward me immediately. This is the part your mother never wanted you to see alone, he said. My stomach tightened again. Then why am I seeing it now? I asked. My father looked at me directly. Because Olivia forced it open early. That made Olivia laugh once. Don't blame me, she said. I just accelerated what was already coming. My father opened the folder. Inside were medical reports. Not about me. About my mother. But these weren't normal records. They were sealed psychiatric evaluations and internal investigations. My eyes scanned the page. And then I saw it. A line that made everything inside me freeze. Subject reported repeated attempts of manipulation by eldest daughter, Olivia Bennett. My breath stopped. No, my mother wasn't protecting me from Olivia after death. She had been documenting her while she was still alive. My father finally spoke, voice low. Your mother discovered Olivia's behavior years ago. She tried to correct it privately. Olivia's expression didn't change, but her eyes did. Something darker surfaced behind them. You're rewriting history, she said coldly. But my father continued. When that failed, she changed the trust. I looked up at him. You knew. I whispered. He nodded slowly. And I was told to protect you, not scare you. Silence again. But this time it felt different. Because everything was finally aligning. The manipulation. The petition. The forged documents. It wasn't sudden. It was years in motion. Olivia stepped forward. I didn't do anything she didn't deserve, she said quietly. That sentence shattered something in the room. My father's voice turned sharp. You tried to declare your sister mentally unfit to steal her inheritance. That is not justice. That is obsession. Olivia's face finally cracked. Just slightly. But enough. Then she said the final thing. Fine. If I'm the villain, then explain why Mom hid the biggest truth from her favorite daughter. My blood turned cold again. My father closed the folder slowly and said, Because Claire. He paused and looked at me like I was about to fall off something I couldn't see. You were never just the heir. You were the condition. My mind went blank. What does that mean? I whispered. My father reached into the folder again and pulled out a final sealed document. He placed it in front of me and said, Open it. And you'll understand why your sister was never the real threat. My hand shook as I touched it. Olivia leaned in slightly. For once, she wasn't smiling. She was waiting. I opened the seal, and the first line I read made me step back instantly, because it didn't just mention my mother. It named someone else. Someone who had never been in the room. Someone who might have been controlling everything from the beginning. And the last sentence said, "If Claire reads this, the inheritance war is already over. And the real fight begins."